The Matches in Residence event today in Los Angeles. I am thrilled to introduce you to Alonzo Ester, one of the co-founders of Longjourney. Unfortunately, your other co-founder, Alex, wasn't able to make it today, so you're going to have to double up, speak for the two of you.
Hi, everyone.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Longjourney was founded in 2012. What's your background in fashion? What were you kind of doing before Longjourney?
So both Alex and I kind of began in retail, actually. We both worked at Fred Segal here in Los Angeles for many years. And from there, we started to consider creating a business for ourselves. And we've been in love with design and kind of just started from there.
And it was definitely menswear that you wanted to go into. You weren't tempted to design for women.
Yeah. I mean, we began working with men, so we just started to continue in that direction. And
what is the kind of ethos behind Longjourney? Whenever you were thinking about this brand that you wanted to launch, what was the DNA? What was the ethos of the brand?
Yeah, so we worked a lot with vintage. And we wanted to figure out a way to marry this love for vintage with new design and do it in a way that we hadn't seen, where people wouldn't necessarily know that it was actually vintage. A lot of people kind of have strange feelings about vintage, and so we wanted to treat it in a way that it was more like a textile. And not have the customer know necessarily that this garment was something old. And that kind of got us figuring out ways to work the pieces to make them feel different.
Yeah. It's an amazing kind of approach to something. It feels like quite niche and quite different, especially in the menswear field, but also quite challenging. Like you could have just started a brand, made it very easy for yourself.
Yes, we often think, why are we doing it this way?
And in terms of kind of sourcing your vintage, how did you start to go about it? Is it something that you've kind of centered in Los Angeles, or do you travel a lot?
Yes, we travel a lot, but we're lucky here because there is a lot of amazing sources for vintage. And we made a lot of connections, and so we thought that was a great place to start, and we kind of felt familiar with some of the outlets and places to gather that.
And is the process kind of you're searching for a fabrication to begin with, and then you build a collection out from that, or do you just discover one shape or silhouette or old piece that you love, and that's the type of thing you want to recreate?
It kind of happens on many levels. We are designing first off and creating a concept for the collection, and simultaneously we're searching and scouring the city for interesting ideas. And once we find something that we love, then we try and collect that thing and try to collect enough of that to then create the story and to have it in order to produce it for a collection. Because from the time we are sourcing to develop samples to show, we need to stock that, so then once we get orders, we can then produce it.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Go back, we say, oh, we love this, and we go back and it's not there.
It doesn't exist anymore. Well,
exactly.
That's why, I mean, you kind of must face certain amount of challenges on a daily basis in terms of you might find one thing that you love, but there's not going to be enough of it to then produce a whole collection, or...
Yes, it's difficult, but we kind of do the work in advance to minimize any risk in that. I guess a few seasons back, we did this collection all with vintage parachutes. And so we went to a few different sources to find these military parachutes, and as time started to get close, some of them started to rot and disintegrate. And so we were a little bit behind the gun, but luckily we were able to find more and make it happen.
And how would you kind of describe the DNA of the brand? I know it's definitely got like a military influence, a little bit of old workwear. I don't know, how do you kind of...
No, it's just this combination of all the things we love. You know, it's military, it's athletic wear. I mean, both of us are huge fans of sports. So it's athletic wear, vintage, military, and just kind of old school guys' uniforms. So we love that. And then twisting it and making it kind of more modern
like
and,
relevant. And what is kind of the images that are always on your mood board? Do you kind of have a running theme each season, or?
It becomes the same. I mean, Alex is a huge basketball fan, so there's always, you know, images of basketball players and basketball uniforms. I love military, so there's that. A lot of kind of street guys, hip hop dancers, and that kind of thing. So it all kind of mixes.
Quite a lifestyle rather than like specific males, maybe like stylish.
Yes.
But you've got an amazing style yourself. I love it.
Thanks.
And in terms of kind of the process of your garments, I need to ask you where Longjourney came from, but I'm anticipating it's probably due to the long journey that each piece of your clothing goes through from start to process. Can you kind of explain a little bit about what goes into kind of from each each stage along the way?
Sure, yeah. So the name Longjourney is about the journey that the clothing takes on. So we're finding these vintage garments, materials, textiles, and then they've existed, and then we kind of take it into another direction and continue the journey. It's also the journey between Alex and I, having worked together many years ago and then not seeing each other for a long time, and then coming back together through another project and deciding to go forward with the Longjourney. So that's kind of where the name comes from. And in terms of how we kind of put it together, we will decide on a theme and kind of search for those things that work with that. So for example, the trousers I'm wearing today, they're in the shops this spring, and they began with spring summer 2015, and we created a style in that collection, and everything that's left over from the factories is all saved. So everything that's cut, the leftovers, everything is saved. So we bring it back and we store it, we catalog it, and then when we start to build the next season, we go through and pull out. And so a lot of the pieces in the patchworking of this trouser comes from that season, and so that's kind of how things happen.
Okay. And I read that you work with a lot of local artisans and is that?
Yes, everything is produced here in Los Angeles, really close by where our studio is. We work with amazing dyers, indigo dyers, just the whole range from the dyeing process to the producing of the pieces. It starts in our studio, and then we kind of go out to find the different people.
That's amazing that you've kept it all, centric to Los Angeles. Why was that important for you? I know you're born and bred here, but why Los Angeles? Why not New York or, I don't know,
Well,
Europe,
we're both
somewhere?
from Los Angeles, so we definitely wanted to create based from where we are, and we didn't want to have a big footprint, and we wanted to keep things local and support the local artists and the local producers in our area. And we actually moved downtown to be closer to that, so that we weren't traveling so far and can be hands-on. But I think it's important to support the artists and the producers in our city, in your city, and not searching too far out
to find something cheaper, and it feels like downtown Los Angeles has definitely got a bit of a fashion scene happening at the moment. I don't know if that puts you off or not, but certainly to an outsider, it feels like in women's wear, for sure, there's a lot of brands set up there. I don't know. It's got a cool
it's great for us. I mean, I think the most important thing is that we've found amazing people that do great work there. So that was the main draw for us. But it's growing. I mean, there's great places to eat. There's lots of energy now, and it's becoming really a thing down there. So it's nice. It's nice to have everything kind of at your fingertips.
On your doorstep, you're not spending too long in the traffic.
Yes.
And in terms of kind of the partnership between you and Alex, do you kind of look after one area more and he looks after something else, or do you kind of share design creative responsibilities? Is someone more commercially driven? How does the dynamic work?
We kind
Is there
of
lots of love in the air, or?
No, we kind of share in the process. I mean, we kind of he may start with an idea and then I take it over, but by now we're kind of in sync. So there's this kind of unspoken dance that we do. I mean, we can be in a vintage warehouse and, he can see something and think, oh, he knows that I'm gonna love that. And then we'll meet back up and I'll say, did you see that piece? And he goes, oh yeah, and then he runs and gets it. So we kind of, are in sync with that and do a lot of it together. So it's kind of this back and forth dialogue between us.
A real partnership.
Yeah.
And whenever you're traveling to kind of source extra pieces, is there particular countries or cities that you like to go to? Is there anywhere that you find quite inspirational in terms of design or street style or something that's happening?
We've traveled a bit, and we love everywhere. But I think home and, seeing the people in our area and our friends. A big part of Longjourney is, based on our friends and wanting to create things that they're gonna love, and that's more important. So it's a little bit more local than necessarily being kind of out there.
Definitely. And obviously the fact that you are creating a sustainable brand with this, ethos and focus is so commendable, because it could have been so easy for you just to start a brand and make it super easy for yourselves.
Yes.
Why was that important to you, and kind of do you feel like it's becoming more and more relevant within the fashion industry? Certainly for us, it feels like customers are becoming more engaged about where their clothes are coming from, how they're being made, who's making them. They want to know the backstory a little bit more, the origins of their clothing. Do you feel like that's, similar in Los Angeles?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost for us, it was important that we were creating, great clothing, great pieces, great quality, and then in partnering with that, we wanted to make sure we were not creating more waste, I guess.
Yeah.
And after working in retail for as long as we did, we wanted to make sure we were finding a way to bring something to the market that didn't waste, that didn't have a huge footprint. And so it was important for us that a big part of the collection did come from existing things and not necessarily having to, waste. That's kind of the big thing for us. We try to minimize the waste and use as much as we can and recycle everything. Everything is really important.
Yeah, I read about a collaboration that you did recently with a furniture designer.
Yes,
where you kind of reused old leather jackets, is that right, to patchwork a sofa together?
We did two pieces with Steve and Ken, and we did a sofa, and the sofa was created with, we have this really kind of great piece. It's called the Nash sweatshirt, and it's created from vintage Champion sweatshirts that we source. And we took the leftover of the sweatshirts and we waxed them so they looked leather. And then we made patchwork panels, and then Steven created the sofa from this. And then the other was chairs made from vintage motorcycle jackets.
Really cool.
So yeah.
Is that kind of something that you can see the brand doing more of?
Yes. Yeah. No, we love doing projects like that. That's a lot of fun to go into another area and bring, our vision, things that we love, and see how to apply it to that kind of thing. So it's great.
What would be your dream thing to collaborate on? I can see like
Wow.
the interiors of
Wow,
a like vintage
absolutely.
car would be really nice. Can see that.
Yeah, no, we'd love to do more interiors. I mean, this is a great space. We'd love to like, do something
in,
with
put your
places
hands
like this.
over it, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but more interiors would be great. Furniture design. Yeah.
Women's wear.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're tinkering with women's wear. We're trying
Okay, that's very
get our head
exciting.
around that. It's a big thing to conquer, but we want to do that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like actually like a lot of your pieces are feel quite unisex anyway.
Yes.
To be honest, I feel like
We have a
I
lot
could
of
easily.
customers, women that buy the collection, so it's really cool. It's really great when we see a woman wearing one of
it,
the
yeah,
pieces.
styling it up in
Yeah.
like a completely different way.
Yeah.
And in terms of like the next kind of 5 years, 10-year plan, how do you see Longjourney developing? Is having a 100% sustainable company realistic? Is that something you'd like to aim for, or what's your goal?
Yeah.
What's the end journey? Never
course-
mind the long journey.
Of course, the journey's going to keep going for sure. Of course, we'd love to become more sustainable. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to get there, and we're working towards that. But we just want to continue and create the best that we can, the best pieces, strong pieces, get better at that, really get secure with our producing partners, develop the women's, of course, and see where it goes from there. Yeah.
Okay, really interesting. Well, I'm excited to watch the developments, and thank you so much for like talking us through
Please, thank you guys
about
for
your
having
brand.
us.
It's really, really interesting. I just wanted to open it up and ask if anyone would like to ask any questions. You're very welcome. Anyone? Don't be shy.
What's the largest collection of vintage items, whether it's a parachute that you kind of sourced before?
I guess our Nash sweatshirt is one of our best sellers, so we are collecting huge amounts of sweatshirts. And we've kind of made this sweatshirt a really important piece. So we do trousers, jackets from this sweatshirt. So we're collecting tons of them, yeah. So that's kind of the largest at the moment.
Your archive must be amazing. I kind of want to see what it looks like. Is it meticulously catalogued? How big is it? It surely is huge.
No, we have a storage facility, and then in the studio we have containers all labeled with different parts. Interesting story: when we were collecting the sweatshirts and were using those in the beginning, we were saving all the rib from the waistband, the neck, and the cuffs, and we just had tons of containers full of those. And then we started to then apply that to other garments. And so in this collection, a lot of pieces have vintage rib neckbands or parts from the rib of the waist and the cuffs. So it's great fun to figure out how to apply these different parts. Yeah.
Yeah, so technical. Yes. I can give you the mic, actually.
Do your patterns come from vintage pieces as well, or are they new?
No, all the patterns are new, so the designs are new, and then the vintage is used as a textile. So we're either taking apart the entire piece and fitting it into our patterns, or using it as patchwork. So like these trousers are a mixture of vintage suiting fabrics that have been patchwork, and then the back is all new material, and then it's combined together. But all the patterns, all the designs are new from us. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay, that's us. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, sure.